Hi, everyone, and welcome to LISI's News, Views, and To-Dos, where we interview marketing professionals on what's going on in their world, their news, some opinions they have of the industry, their views, and some advice that they have for our audience. Today, I'm really excited to be joined by Erika Galarneau. Sorry for butchering your name, but Erika Galarneau, all the way from the other side of the United States in Hawaii. Welcome, Erika. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself and the firm you're at and what's currently going on in your world?
Of course. Like you said, my name is Erika Galarneau. I'm the Marketing and Business Development Manager at Cades Schutte. We are the largest law firm in Hawaii, largest full service one. And I actually moved here. I actually just came upon my 1 year anniversary at the firm, even though it feels like I've only been here for a few months. But I actually made a big move here from New York. So I am still kind of getting used to Hawaii business culture and just living in a new place. I'm not originally from here, so there is a lot going on, but it's actually very exciting, keeps me on my toes. So yes, that's a little bit about me.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, you not only started a new job during the pandemic, you also moved during the pandemic. How was
That's
that?
correct. I still remember, so my move date was March 1, 2020.
Oh,
Um,
goodness.
my airplane was empty. I think Hawaii was open for about 2 weeks before it closed. We went through our first lockdown. So it's definitely been very interesting. I actually was not working at this job at the time. I started here in July 2020. So it was right in the middle of the pandemic. I guess it was interesting though, because I feel like compared to New York City, where I came from, there are a lot more open spaces here. I feel like even during the worst of the lockdown, we were still able to, drive. We were still allowed to go to the beach as long as we were exercising per se. So I do feel like it did help me stay, I guess sane and not go stir crazy during the pandemic. It was definitely an interesting time to move though, because I feel like there's still a lot of Hawaii that I've not seen yet, even though it's been almost 2 years since moving here.
Wow. And, starting your new role at a new firm in a new state during the pandemic, how has it been for you to get to know all of your attorneys at your firm?
I mean, it has been interesting. I actually just on Monday was talking to an attorney that I've been working on a big project on. And I reminded her, I was like, we've never met in person, right? And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And she's been working pretty close to full time from home. So she didn't realize that. She also didn't realize that we actually sit on the same floor. So it's been interesting. I feel like in some sense, due to Zoom and all these provisions we have, it has been pretty seamless. Um, I I think one thing though is that I have started coming into the office full time. I used to be on more of a hybrid schedule. And I have noticed that I think a lot of legal marketers can speak to this. That time you get when you're alone in an elevator with an attorney and can remind them of all the things they owe you is invaluable. And it is making me realize that in person to some degree is very much needed for this job. Yeah,
Right, you're not able to just kind of pop in an office or run into them in the kitchen or something and say, "Hey, remember when you were going to make those bio updates forever ago?"
exactly. Yes,
Wow.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot of effort, and I really, really commend you on that.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, it definitely helps. I think there's only so much you can do with an email follow-up, so that's a big reason for that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Well, before I get into your news, views, and to-dos, and the meat of our interview, I think you have a very, very interesting background of how you came to legal marketing here in the United States. So I would love to hear about your background.
Yes, so I actually started my career in Japan. I was working as a paralegal at a patent firm in Japan, and I managed to find a legal marketing job opening at one of the larger firms, the international firms. And so that was how I entered the legal marketing space. After that, I actually joined the global team of Oryx business development team. And it was through, so I was working at Oryx Tokyo office for a while, and it was through them that I ended up moving to New York. So I guess, given that I've worked in Tokyo, New York, and now Hawaii, I've been covering all my bases. I've been moving cross country in the US. I also have been in Asia. So, um, and I guess one thing is that I have seen different cultures. I think like it's been interesting because moving from Tokyo, where the work-life balance is very, very strict. A lot of people work late nights. It was funny because I moved to New York and I thought that everyone was a lot more relaxed. I was like, oh, you get to go home like 7 or 8 p.m. is a long day, like I thought that New York's work culture was a lot more relaxed, and everyone in America that I talked to is shocked to hear that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Hawaii is actually very interesting because I even more than Japan and New York, people come in very early to the office here. Like if I come in at like 6 or 7, there are already a large number of legal assistants and paralegals. And I think a big reason is because, like it doesn't get dark and cold here in the evening. So people want to go out and do things in the evening. So they'll come into the office really, really early, get their day started, and they'll make sure to make time to do their activities at night, which I actually really like it. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting how different the work and life balance could be depending on where you live.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And is your firm one of those firms where attorneys will go out and do a little surfing on their lunch break and then come back? I know there are some firms in California that do that.
Interesting. I didn't realize on their lunch break. I know that there are attorneys that do so actually in the morning, I think more so. So they'll go out, surf, come into the office, or I guess in the evening too. I know that, so I'm not a surfer, but I do see like a lot of people surfing in the sunset. I think that's a big thing here. So I think again, that's a big reason why people want to get started early so they can get out and do that.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
that's crazy. I really have never heard New York called relaxed.
Yeah.
Never heard of saying that never heard anybody say the work-life balance in New York City is relaxed, especially when you're at a law firm. So that's
hmm
very interesting.
hmm
And then Hawaii seems even better. Maybe I should move there.
I know, definitely. Recruiting people.
Very exciting. Well, that brings me to my next point, I guess. If you're recruiting people, what else do you have going on? What is your current news?
So right now, I think the most exciting thing I'm working on, which is definitely taking up a lot of my life, is that our firm is approaching its 100-year anniversary of service in the state, which is a huge milestone. So that will be in 2022. We just have a lot going on generally. I think one of the big things that we're going to kick off the year at that I would like to share is that we've agreed to do program, like a charitable program to give back to our community. So we are going to be planning a number of volunteer and pro bono activities throughout the year, and we're giving our attorneys and staff the chance to log their volunteer hours in, and the firm has actually agreed to match a donation for any associate and staff that has logged on 10 hours of service. So we're actually really excited to start promoting and implementing this. I do know we have a few other things that we are planning throughout the year. It's just unfortunately because of our state still has gatherings restrictions. So I don't know how many of those are going to be likely. I honestly am, yeah, needing to catch up with what other states are like now too. But I am seeing like other conferences and things throughout the country resuming. So I'm hoping that we can kind of return to normalcy here as well. But yeah, it's been a lot of unknown, and I think a lot of my fellow legal marketers and event planners can say the same.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has been tricky for planning events. And
Mhm.
as you know, we're both involved in LMA, and I sit on the Northeast Region Board of Directors. So planning programs in person has just been tough this year. You know, we have to include that
Definitely.
caveat of, is it going to be canceled? Is it not?
Mhm.
You know, you can register for this in-person event, just know that it may not happen. So
Exactly.
it's been tough. So I have to ask, are you planning a big party for the 100th anniversary? That's a huge deal.
We're hoping to. I think so. Our anniversary is in April, but unfortunately, I think that's a little too soon to do something, especially the state actually just released an ease of their restrictions, but they're still limiting professional events to 150 people, and which I think is arguably not a big party, but we'll have to see how those are at. I mean, I know that so our firm actually sponsors an awards ceremonies with one of the local publications, and they invite a number of the business leaders and the nonprofits. We actually have an award that's named after our firm. I know that that event, for example, is going to be done in shifts. So it's interesting because I'm seeing very innovative ways that people are still doing in-person events. So I guess in the next year, it'll just be interesting to see how that goes about and how that proceeds.
Hmm.
But
That is interesting. Are you doing any other fun marketing initiatives around it?
yes. So I mean, I guess like I said, I think we are going to shift to trying to do a digital campaign. I guess one thing I did want to mention is that we do, and we have a big CLE event. It's like our firm's signature event we do every year, and it actually just concluded earlier in October. But we made a decision pretty early on in the summer, despite the fact that cases were lower, that we should do it digitally, virtually, which is what we had done last year as well. We kind of made that call because there was a lot of unknown, and then there was a Delta surge. So honestly, I'm very thankful that we made that call so early. What has helped though for that is that it's been virtually ever since I joined. The year before that, we did it in person. Our largest conference room only fits, I would say, like 30 to 40 max. So there's definitely a space limitation. And even though the attorneys have to put in so much time into these presentations they prepare, there's only so much reach they can get. So by doing it virtually, we're able to double, if not triple, the number of attendees that come to it. So I think that, and we did a survey at the end to see what people thought, whether we should return it in person or not. There were a lot of people saying like, it's so much better that you can do it virtually. It's so much easier. Please keep doing it this way. So I guess I was going to say there are some perks to our marketing efforts and having to shift this way. I know I can speak for a lot to say though that the one thing that is lost a little bit is the networking, is the cocktail reception. So I think everyone is missing that still quite a bit.
Yeah, I definitely think that, you know, there's something to be said about walking into a room and shaking someone's hand, you know, and
Yes.
saying, "Hi, I'm Kristen."
Yeah.
It's definitely missed.
Yeah. Or it's a lot easier to talk to someone if they're like also at the shrimp cocktail station with you and you happen to be next to them. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But I mean, that's great that you're doing, you know, these online events, and that's something that a lot of firms had to really pivot to
hmm
throughout the pandemic.
hmm
I guess I'm curious, what are your views? You know, you've had to pivot to these online events. What kind of views do you see changing in the legal industry? And, you know, what things may take even longer to change than they should?
Yes. So, I mean, I think one good thing about all of this is that, we've had to, or lawyers in general have had to find innovative ways to reach more people and do business development. I mean, Kristen, you and I spoke at a recent LMA conference about Clubhouse. I think that's a big example because we do see lawyers on the platform. In addition to other social media tools, like I do know there are a few like immigration attorneys, for example, people that advise like private client that have made it big on TikTok, or Instagram Reels. I do
Oh,
see that
yeah.
a lot of attorneys are using innovative ways to reach an audience. And I guess I would like to see more of that. I don't want it to stop after all of the restrictions end, and hopefully once we're back to normal, I would like to see yeah, a little bit more creativity. And honestly, I think that that's where we come in a lot of times, right? With our our graphic design skills, or just our creative thinking. So I would like to support more and more attorneys as they kind of expand into these new areas.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that Clubhouse presentation that you and I did, I got a lot of attorneys asking follow-up questions like, how
Mhm,
can I use this for my practice?
mhm,
And yeah, I think you're right. I hope that these new platforms and these new creative ways of getting out there and marketing does stick around
mhm,
for longer than the pandemic.
mhm. Definitely.
Alrighty. So here's the big question.
Mhm.
What advice do you have for our audience? What are some to-dos that you can provide? Is it be on Clubhouse? Is it try new things? I'm curious what you have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my biggest thing is don't be afraid to try learning new things. Don't be afraid to ask or respond. I feel like a lot of times, like the message boards that you and I probably are both on, people ask questions, and then sometimes I'll reply and be like, I'm sure you got like 50 other emails, but this is my take. And they'll say, like, actually, you're the only one that responded. So I feel like a lot of times, especially a solo marketer at a big firm like me, might feel a little lost. So don't hesitate to help each other. And yeah, I mean, I think now especially is a good time to learn new things. I've actually been trying to dabble a little bit in video editing right now, which is something new to me. And honestly, it's a very much a growing area, especially now since we're having to be virtual for a lot of things still. So yeah, it's a good time to expand your horizons, and don't be afraid to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are a jack, or rather a Jane of all trades at your firm. So
Yeah.
having to learn video editing now, that must be just so much on top of everything else you have to do. So,
Yeah. I mean, this is actually for private life too, but I guess
oh.
when I do it, I'm like, oh, I could use this for work. And actually I think I did get a request last year, which was a reason for it. It's like, oh, I need to make a holiday card for like my bar association division. And I was like, okay, I could probably do this really quickly. I'll help you. But yeah.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah.
How have you fared being a solo marketer through the pandemic?
I mean, I've enjoyed it, definitely. I enjoy being busy. There's definitely a lot of tasks, but I do like the fact that every day is different. I enjoy like the event planning aspect, but I think I wouldn't want to do just that. Like, believe it or not, directory submissions, I do actually find being creative fun sometimes, and trying to think of strategically how to put ourselves forward. Communications obviously as well. So I do actually enjoy being a solo marketer. It is a lot of work sometimes, but I think like the key is definitely get to know others in your department. Like, I try to drop by at the IT, our chief innovative officer's desk, every now and then. I'm calling our director of administration pretty frequently, because I do need to lean on other people in the firm. So I guess just keep your relationship with them, which honestly, it's, you have to be proactive during the pandemic, because we're still not able to. I feel like a little more uncomfortable about popping by people's office to the extent that I was before. So don't be afraid to pick up the phone and just talk to them, is what I would say.
Yeah, that's sound advice for everybody, not just solo marketers, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps up all of our questions. Thank you so much for joining. I had a really great time catching up and a really great time talking with you. And I can't wait for you to see this.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And by the way, it's amazing that you guys are doing this, because yeah, I mean, I'm honestly really addicted to podcasts right now. So it's really fun to just have something that I can relate to, because, more content that's relevant to me in my industry. I'm definitely craving that.
Yeah, absolutely. And your content will definitely be out there to help other legal marketers and help our audience.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.